In recent months, the US dollar has been going through one of its toughest periods in decades. It has lost over 9% of its value since the start of the year, and in April alone, it dropped by 6%, the worst monthly performance since 2008. Behind this sharp decline are Donald Trump's decisions, trade tariffs, pressure on the Federal Reserve, and an increasingly unpredictable economic policy. In this video, I'll break down 1. Why the dollar is weakening. 2. What it means for the United States and the global economy. 3. How investors are reacting, moving into gold and Bitcoin. 4. What scenarios we could face in the coming months, from the risk of a crisis to capital flight to the potential loss of the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency. The US dollar. For decades, it's been the symbol of global economic power. But today, something is changing. Are we witnessing the first real cracks in the dollar's dominance, or is this just a passing storm? In this video, we'll break down what's happening. We'll analyze Donald Trump's recent moves, see how the markets are reacting, and most importantly, try to predict what could happen to the dollar in the years ahead. If you really want to understand what's going on behind the scenes of the global economy, stay with me until the end. In recent months, the US dollar has been going through one of its toughest periods in decades. But what exactly is happening? At the root of this weakening lie the aggressive policies of President Donald Trump. On one hand, Trump has reignited the trade war, announcing new tariffs against several countries. On the other hand, he has started putting intense pressure on the Federal Reserve, publicly criticizing Chairman Jerome Powell, and even threatening to fire him. This has created an atmosphere of extreme uncertainty, and as we know, financial markets don't react well to instability. Trump's statements have led many investors to question the independence of the U.S. central bank, a cornerstone of global confidence in the dollar. As a direct consequence, we've seen a flight of capital out of the United States, with investors seeking safe havens like gold and Bitcoin. Gold has surged to record highs above $3,400 an ounce, while Bitcoin has soared past $87,000. In simple terms, the dollar, long seen as a safe haven during times of crisis, is now, ironically, being perceived as a source of risk. And this might just be the beginning. When the dollar weakens, it's not just an American problem, it's a global problem. Today, the dollar is the world's primary reserve currency. It's used to trade oil, commodities, and to build up reserves in countries all around the globe. If trust in the dollar starts to shake, the consequences will reach far beyond U.S. borders. We're already seeing it. Investors, spooked by America's political and monetary instability, are fleeing to safe haven assets. This capital flight isn't random. It's a clear signal the world is starting to look for alternatives to the dollar, and in the long run, that could threaten its role as the global leader. On top of that, a weaker dollar makes it more expensive for the United States to repay its massive public debt. If global investors start demanding higher interest rates to fund America, mortgage rates, corporate loan rates, basically every kind of borrowing cost could skyrocket. American companies could find it harder to attract investment, while inflation could pick up, hitting consumers with higher prices on everything from food to technology. In short, a weak dollar doesn't just shake up Wall Street, it affects the entire economic fabric. And over time, it could shift the balance of global economic power. Now we get to the most important part of the entire video. What could happen in the coming months? To understand it, we need to imagine a few possible scenarios. Scenario 1, positive dollar stabilization. In the best-case scenario, Trump could tone down his stance toward the Federal Reserve. If the Fed manages to maintain its independence, continuing to make decisions based on economic data rather than political pressure, we could see the dollar stabilize. In this case, markets would also regain confidence, and the rush toward assets like gold and Bitcoin would slow down. It would send a clear message to global investors. America remains a safe place for capital. Scenario 2, neutral, volatility without collapse. A second and perhaps more realistic short-term scenario is one of continued volatility. Trump might keep criticizing the Fed and pursue aggressive trade policies without crossing into extreme actions. In this case, the dollar would stay under pressure, alternating between periods of weakness and short rebounds. markets would still view the dollar as one of the world's main reference currencies, but much more cautiously than before. Scenario 3. Negative erosion of global trust. Finally, the most worrying scenario. If Trump were to seriously attempt to remove the Fed chair or heavily interfere with monetary policy, the impact could be devastating. International trust in the dollar would collapse. Other countries, like China, Russia, and even Europe, could accelerate their efforts to reduce their reliance on the dollar for trade and reserves. The dollar would slowly but surely lose its status as the world's global reserve currency. And at that point, America would pay a steep price: higher inflation, harder access to foreign funding, and weaker economic growth. In short, the future of the dollar is still unwritten. Much will depend on the next political moves and on the United States' ability to protect the independence of its financial institutions. History teaches us that trust takes a long time to build, but can be lost in an instant. So we've seen how the political and monetary decisions of the past few months have put pressure not just on the dollar, but on the entire American economic system. The future is still wide open. Much will depend on the next moves by the Fed, the upcoming elections, and whether or not the world maintains its trust in the U.S. This is economic leadership. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think we're truly witnessing the beginning of the end for the dollar as the world's reserve currency? Or do you believe that just like in the past, the dollar will weather this storm too? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I'll be reading and personally responding to the most interesting ones. If you found this video helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future updates on the global economy and the major challenges ahead. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.